Hey guys, welcome to the Not Bad Better podcast. We're your hosts, Luke and Luke.
On this podcast, we interview people much smarter than us and ask questions about how they've created a life that they love.
Follow along with us weekly as we learn about strategies that we can use to improve our own lives.
We hope this is beneficial. We aim for this to be applicable in your own life so that you can grow with us. Wow,
Hey there,
what an intro.
how you doing, Mr. Morrison?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, quite well.
That's good. What's been happening?
Not a whole lot. We've had a great chat with Kingstan this week,
We did. We had a really good chat.
which was awesome.
Yeah.
I've got I've got a week until uni goes back, so
Same.
this time next week uni will be firing on all cylinders, so that'll be good for both of us. You've got a new direction with uni, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I do. I'm very, very excited about it. I wasn't expecting to get into the course I did on Ash Law, but somehow transferred, and I'm very excited about that.
Well, your grades were outstanding. How could
no, no, they weren't, and that's why I'm pretty excited about it. It's like I've been given a get out of jail free card. To be honest, getting out of commerce.
Commerce is awful.
But yeah, no, I'm very excited about that.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah. So obviously I had some big decisions about that, and deciding to go to Monash as opposed to Deakin was a big one. But yeah, everything's up in the air at the moment, waiting on timetables and stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll see how we go.
Yeah.
How's work for you?
Work has been good, actually.
Just to clarify, Luke's a support worker now.
Yeah, it's been good. Been doing some work with a new client, which has been fun. Probably can't speak about that here, but it's been
probably not.
No, I'm really enjoying it. It's fulfilling work, which I think, doing something that not always fills you up, but not 100% of the time you finish work and you're just cooked.
Yeah.
And it's only a little bit of work, so that's also part of it. But there's a fulfilling element to it, which is good. I mean, it's the same with teaching. It's there's some days that are not as fun and a bit of a slog to, get kids to practice and whatnot and take on what you're teaching to them.
Yep.
But there's days where everything kind of just aligns and work is like, I finish teaching for the day and you're like, wow, that was good. That was everyone's improving and that's due to, them practicing and me teaching the right stuff, which is, you can't really ask for a whole lot more than that. So it's good. It's good to do work that is fulfilling. And I think, it's kind of good to set yourself before this year, set myself in a position where I'm privileged enough to be able to be picky about work for a little while with some financial flexibility.
Wow.
For a bit of time. So, I mean, that's something that you take advantage of and just be like, I'm not going to do work that working in a hardware store is all good and well when you're straight out of school and need to make money.
Yep.
But that's sort of made me think, let's think about something that's a bit more fulfilling and, the bank account gets dry for a little while, but that's okay because you're doing something you love. So
that's true. That's true.
I
like that attitude.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit privileged to be picky about work as a uni student, but I'll take it.
You work hard for it though. You do work hard to get to those positions. I think anyone who gets to that point knows that they've put in the work to get there. They've worked at the places that probably were a bit of a slog.
Boots juice for you?
Yeah. And then for you, obviously the hardware store. So
that was a slog.
Yeah.
It was all right, but it was a slog.
It was a slog.
Yep.
Yeah, so I get what you're saying. Yeah. Regarding Kingstan.
Well, I was going to say now is the time where we come clean about
Oh, yeah.
about deleting a whole heap of stuff.
We deleted a whole 2 episodes.
So today is this comes out Monday the 18th. What should be coming out on Monday the 18th is a episode with your father.
Yeah,
Peter Morrison.
we were planning on doing 2 episodes a week.
Yeah, just for a while before uni goes
before
back
uni went
and
back.
while we've got some free time.
Did not get a plan.
Look, what we'll do is we'll put the blame on me squarely.
No.
We plugged in the SSD to get Kingston stuff off the laptop and the phones, and the SSD, which is a terabyte of storage, said it was full, and I said that can't be right.
But it was just because there was just one project.
Some error message that.
It was just one project, I reckon.
Okay, I don't even think it was that big. I think there was something wrong with it. But anyway,
maybe
that's me just handballing blame. Anyway, we said, we've done the Pete Morrison interview. It's all done. So we deleted it. It wasn't uploaded to YouTube to be scheduled. It wasn't uploaded to our podcast host to be scheduled. It was just sitting there on the SSD.
Everything's gone. Audio's gone. So we'll be re-recording that one with Dad. Sorry, Dad.
And we'll be recording it in Ballarat because he kindly drove all the way here.
We'll probably drive there next time just to be fair.
You guys will get to see some different scenery.
Yeah, lounge room and Scandinavian couches.
Yeah, and in the weeks coming, you'll see a bit of different scenery. You'll see some Zoom scenery with at least one guest.
Yep, and then you'll see some Integra home scenery.
Yeah, my parents' place. Because we're having a chat with my dad in the coming weeks, which will be good.
Beautiful.
But yeah, so that's honesty time. Today, you're listening to us ramble. Should be the wisdom and insight. 90 minutes of wisdom and insight from Peter Morrison, but you'll get that at a later date. And just as well, because delayed gratification is a beautiful thing.
And look, I think re-recording the episode could be a fun thing. Like, only because now Dad's done it, he might even refine further from what he said last time. We might have better questions. It could be just a lot better this time around. It was good already, but... For
the mere mortal mind that I have, I can't see it getting any better. But with the brain that he has, it will get better. So, that's a good thing. Let's chat about Kingston.
Let's chat about Kingston.
Yep. Now that honesty time is over, let's go back to being fake.
That's what we do.
Yeah, it's us.
Always. Kingston was just honestly such a refreshing person to be around.
Genuine as.
Yeah, I mean, talking to Dad was great. But I've obviously heard a lot of the stories before. I know a lot about his life. So I feel like for me, Kingston was my first interview because even though I learnt things from what Dad was saying and I actually implemented some stuff that we'll talk about one day. Kingston felt like an interview with someone I've, never met before because that's what it was. And yeah, he was just honestly like such a great person to meet first time and just chat with.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah, from the moment we saw him at his apartment, we went out for a cheeky feed, as he would call it.
Yep.
And yeah, just the conversations were great.
And I think I made a comment afterwards that night.
Yep.
And just said, like, this stuff's easy when you just ask a few questions and let the person run with it. Because his energy was awesome. Yeah, his energy is what we want. Like, he was upbeat, happy.
Yeah.
Don't think I heard him complain at all for the 4 hours we were with him or something.
Yeah, literally. The man is just the least negative person I've ever met. Well, because I'm sure there's more people out there, but he's up there. Like, he's I think maybe one complaint was probably, I can't even think of one.
The traffic on Springvale Road when old mate crashed at the lights.
Yeah,
sat there for
but that's probably fair enough. It was pretty bad.
It was more me complaining.
Yeah, but he could rap to us in that time, so that was good.
It was good.
We didn't get into that.
Let's talk about what we learnt.
Yeah,
we got a few little notes of what we thought there.
Got some subplots in here. So one is failure.
Let's get into it.
That was a pretty big motif throughout the last episode.
I mean, my failure this week was hit and delete. Like, honestly, that's something, and I think we put out a little quote on Instagram He's talking about failure is a lesson.
Yeah.
And it's not a reflection of you. Like, I'm not going to do that again. That's all right. It's a lesson. Lucky it was with someone that's related to the two of or one of the two of us. Not
imagine if it was Kingston's episode. That would be
yeah, but he wouldn't have cared. He would have just come back in.
Oh, he definitely would have, but that was some gold in that one.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, he related it to the gym as his probably primary example of, and a bit of uni as well.
Yeah. No, I didn't know he went to uni.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Cool to find out.
But I guess his main example for failure equals growth, if we want to call it that.
Yeah.
In a simplified way, was the gym.
Yeah, no, I think that he hit the nail on its head when he talked about how the gym correlates with his life. For me, that's been a really big thing for me lately. Just looking at failure from my perspective, there's so many times this year that I've confronted failure. Maybe not in the way other people would see it, but for me, not getting into my degree, the first selection, second selection, or any of the selections last year, was hugely upsetting. I think that really set me back in terms of my confidence in myself.
Yeah.
And then other failures, like I'm really bad at managing my finances compared to other people, and just looking at myself with an absolute utter shame for that. And so listening to him talk about it, I think really helped me confront it a little bit in my head. So that was really, really good.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of funny too, because the Imperfects just released a podcast about failure.
Did they?
Yeah, with Rax, with
yes,
Martin
yes,
Heppel. Yeah, the F word as they call it. So I found that just so funny. It's clearly something that's going on, like that I'm having to talk about with myself at the moment.
If Kingston's up there for least negative, if I ever meet Martin Heppel, from the Imperfects,
jeepers,
he'll be the least negative person ever.
He's so positive, isn't he?
Yeah,
yeah, he's the same. There's two of the perfect people to talk about failure. quite genuinely.
Yeah. I think learning to fail is like, however that comes about, I think is kind of put there for you to learn from. Yeah. And it sucks in the moment.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When you stuff something up and it's all your fault.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And there's no one to blame for it.
Yeah.
But being sort of, I'm not going to say enlightened, but wise enough to look back at that and say, you know, there's only one good thing that can come from failure, and that's to learn. And, you know, there's only two ways that we can learn, and that's from other people's failure or our own.
Yeah.
Sometimes with the big things, it has to be our own failure. So you've got to take that and learn. And I'm certainly a culprit of not learning at times and repeating mistakes, but there's also the big ones that you go, yeah, that's not happening again.
I think the way Dad would put it, I remember he once did a sermon on it, actually. Worldly failure versus what's the other one? I think it's worldly failure versus maybe historical failure. I think it might be. No, worldly wisdom versus historical wisdom. But the reason why I say failure is that wisdom generally comes from someone's failure. Like, as in, you develop a wisdom once you've failed or you've experienced failures.
Yep.
I feel like that's the case. I mean, I might be oversimplifying it. I'm sure I am. But for me... That's
what we're all about.
Yeah. But for me, if you look at wisdom and what wisdom actually is, it's just a knowing from experience or understanding. Yep. And experience and understanding generally cannot come without failure. I mean, yeah, that's my take on it. Obviously not in terms of Jesus or but in terms of our own human wisdom.
Yeah.
I feel like that's vital for us.
Certainly.
Yeah. Understanding we're broken.
And we're going to fail reps in the gym more.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, yeah, going into the gym, that's a really good segue.
You've We both failed on calf raises on Friday.
I love failing on calf raises to the point where you can't walk. Good feeling, isn't it?
Mm.
Gym is just such a good place to take out everything.
Well, I went for a run today with Jacko, and that I could feel it. It was good, like, you know, good pain where like I've worked out, but yeah, I went running today. It was like, it wasn't for long. It was like just over half an hour, I think. But yeah, like I've used my legs, and especially in the calves. When I stopped and like finished walking at the end, they were even tighter. I was like, yeah, I failed them on before. So
I think as well, it is your first leg workout probably in a while.
Yeah, for quite a while.
And
over
so
a year.
that would have a big that would play a big factor in it. I think for me, whenever I come back to the gym and I do a leg workout for the first time in a couple of weeks, the legs are always the one that just hurts the most afterwards. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think it's something to do with, okay, I'm not going to say what it's to do with, but I have heard it from someone before that it's something to do with something chemically in your legs, where they're the ones that are probably hardest to recover after a session. But I might be making things up. So yeah.
Someone can fact check it for us.
Definitely a PT is listening at the moment and he can fact check us.
Yep. Our next point was gym.
Yeah.
Just gym.
Bringing it back to that. You joined me at the gym the other day. You paid a bit of money to do it as well. I felt bad about that.
No, that's all right.
Didn't expect my gym to be so snobby.
Well, you go there, so it's not a surprise to me.
Good one. Well played.
Yeah, well played, as they would say in the cricketing world. I just think all the disciplined people do some form of exercise.
Yeah.
And one of the guys that I watch on YouTube and listen to on podcasts and all that stuff is
Bo Miles.
Well, Bo Miles, but Nick Bear.
Oh yeah.
Who's
barely Nick.
Yeah. He's a American. He served in the army, bodybuilding, Ironmans.
Just everything basically.
And he is, like, if you could click your fingers and give me a physique.
He's
like
your favourite.
He's over 30.
Yeah.
He'd be like 31 or something. I'd have his. Like, he's
That's
just,
fair.
and you just looking at me like, oh, you were disciplined. That's it. Like, there's no other way to make gains in life without discipline. I think we touched on that pretty well with. Oh, did we touch on discipline much with Kingy?
A little bit. He talked about structure and routine and how that's important.
And how that builds discipline.
My main thing though with the gym, which I forgot to get into with Kingy as well because we had so much to talk about. But my main thing is I admire the people who can do it and not be at the gym full time. There's a lot of personal trainers at my gym that are jacked and they're huge.
All day.
But like they're there all day, yeah. And so they've got so much time to work out themselves. It's so convenient for them. As much as they might have been quite sizable beforehand, I've seen it happen before my eyes where I've seen a guy grow from like my size to an absolute monster in about 6 months because he worked at the gym. Like it does help. Whereas I really admire the people who wear a suit to work and then come out and go to the gym and just smash out a session 5 times a week.
Yep.
Like that to me is discipline. Doing it, I mean, not to discount from the work of people like Kingy who work in the industry, because it's, don't get me wrong, like still super impressive.
Yeah.
But I'm super impressed by people who are just disciplined with work and the gym. I don't know. For me, it's just you're probably more time restricted.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah.
And even just that showing up is good.
Yeah.
You know, even if you don't. Like
especially tradies who are doing physically demanding jobs. If I see a tradie at the gym, like, mate, I'm clapping my hands in my head because like it happens all the time where these guys who are like carpenters come in and like they're obviously worn out from the day. That's a pretty, you know, especially if you're a chippy or if you're like a, I don't know, cementer or whatever,
Yeah, concreters are the ones
Concreters,
that
cement.
they pour cement.
Classic.
Yeah, concreters, they're tough.
Yeah, they have to go through a bit. If they rock up to the gym and you can just tell that they're a concreter by what they're wearing.
Footy shorts, big, just like the short running shorts.
White socks.
Yeah, the black running shorts and then the massive hoodie.
Yeah, and the white socks, like they're always the tell, the white working socks, because you can't really wear anything else.
Yeah.
Without it getting dirty. When they rock up, they're like, for me, that's like huge, because like they've spent probably 8 hours out in the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, out in the sun, rolling around in dirt, not literally, but
it's tough.
It's tough work. And then they come into the gym afterwards and spend an hour and a bit doing a big gym session. Like, that's amazing. So credit to the boys and the girls that do so.
And those.
Yeah, credit to everyone who does so.
There's this graphic that I saw a while ago that was like, what we think showing up looks like, and it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's got circles underneath with all of them like fully coloured in.
I feel like I've seen this.
Yeah, and it's like what showing up actually looks like, and it's the whole week. But like some of them are half coloured in, some of them are quarter coloured in, some of them are like 5/6 coloured in, some are fully coloured in. But it's like, it doesn't matter if you show up and you've had a hard day and you said you were going to run. I mean, I did it today. I said I was going to run 8 kilometers with Jackson, and we did like 6.5.
That's pretty close.
But I was like wrecked, and it's like,
yeah,
we were both. Pretty sure he had a swimming comp the day before, and he went to the gym tonight. So,
oh my goodness, he's a beast.
But that still builds the discipline, and I need to build that habit so much more, because my running form and fitness is in the toilet at the minute. So, I mean, it's just building the discipline, and you just show up. And I mean, the hardest part is putting your running shoes on and getting out the door.
Yeah.
Once you're there, I mean, you fight the mental demons of can I keep going? And
yeah,
you almost always can, but
there are days where you probably can't. I think for me, the gym, I probably had maybe I'm very lucky where I'm very motivated to go to the gym. I love it so much. I don't think there's ever a time where you can say to me, do you feel like going to the gym? And I'll be like, no. I pretty much always feel like going to the gym because I just love it.
Because you're jacked.
No, I just really enjoy it. I don't know what it is. I always have motivation for it. For me, it's always trying to find the time for it. But anyway, what I was going to say is, I think I've had maybe 1 or 2 days where I've genuinely just gone, I'm so tired and I really want to go, but I can't. And I've rocked up and maybe performed 1 set of an exercise, maybe 2 sets of an exercise, and then just gone, nah, that's it.
But you still show up.
But you show up.
Awful.
Yeah. If you show up and you give yourself at least a small chance to succeed, generally you will. Sometimes you won't.
Yeah.
But generally you will. I think back to as well a time during lockdown where I was just very emotionally and mentally drained, and I decided to go on a 5K run. Now I was running like 15Ks by that point. Like I wasn't running heaps, but I was running enough to build up to like the 20K. And then one day I got out and I was like, all right, let's go for a 5K, just a small softener, because I wasn't feeling good at all. I wasn't even tired or anything, just didn't feel in for it. And I think I did 1.5 kilometers and I was just like, nah, I can't even keep going.
I've done that so many times.
Yeah. I feel like running, you feel it a lot more when you're just emotionally not in it.
Yeah, because at any time you can stop. At any time you can flick the switch and be like, I'm just going to walk back to the car.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was a fair walk home because I run a K1.5 plus. I usually did a warm-up jog, which was like probably about a K. So it was about 2.5 Ks from home.
Yeah. So
I still was like, nah, I'm walking home.
Yeah.
It was just one of those days. But, at least you get out there.
Yeah. I used to do that running at the one of the tracks I used to run at. It's like a 6K loop or something. I would park at one end in my car. I just wouldn't run past the car until I knew I'd done what I wanted to do. Because I knew because the loop kind of passed my car and then kept going up the track further through town. And
it would tempt you every time otherwise.
Yeah, I was like, I'd take a different route to get past the car and whatnot. It's just like, even after running, or the first loop, whatever it was, 7Ks or something. It's like, I'm not running past the car. Like, I know I have to do whatever according to my training plan today. Like, what's the point of coming out here and not doing it? And the reality with running or the gym or something, or swimming or whatnot, is like, you can always have a rest. I always find that one of the guys that coached me for a bit was always like, you know, even if you have to do whatever, if you have to do 100 minutes of running today for your session or something, like, you know, just make sure you're out there for 100 minutes. If you have to walk for 25 minutes because you're just gassed from the week that you've had, doesn't matter, you're out there for 100 minutes. Whether, like, if you've got an hour in the pool, if you sit at one end of the pool for 20 minutes and chat to your mate in the lane next to you and drink water, doesn't matter, you're in the water for 100 minutes. Take that as a little win. And next time you get back there, push yourself a bit more. But if you're a bit cooked because you've had a big week of training, or you've had a big week at work or uni, you better just to show up and achieve something small, because that keeps the motivation train rolling.
That's so true. I think Matt Devella's 2-day rule really comes into handy there as well.
I broke that with sugar this week, by the way. The 2-day rule went 2 in a row.
It does not bother me.
Oh, it bothers me.
Oh yeah, for context, me and Luca off sugar for a little while. When we say off sugar, it's reduced. Reduced sugar. It's impossible to avoid. Sometimes
satay sauce every week.
PK's chicken.
I'm not gonna say just PK's. It's me as well. I go for the easy option a lot.
But yeah, we are going sugar free for a bit just to see how we go.
Does my skin look better?
It does, doesn't it? It really does.
I've got this little patch breaking out here, but that's okay.
But yeah, I don't even wash my face anymore because, I mean, that's gross. I do in the shower.
You don't use product to wash your face. You don't use cleanser.
Not super often. Like, I'll use my cleanser at night, and then in the morning I'll just splash water.
Look at us talking about our skincare routines.
Oh my goodness, we're already turning into it. Oh my gosh. Let's stop
Let's
this
move
now.
on. Next point. But Matt Devella's 2-day rule.
Yeah.
Watch whatever video he's got on that.
Yeah, very good.
There's probably something about how he goes to the gym 4 times a week is the thumbnail.
It is, yeah. No, it's a good idea.
Just show up.
The only problem I have with it is
getting COVID.
You
can't perform when that happens.
No, I think the only problem I have with it is if you set aside time during a week to do something, which we'll obviously talk about one day when we interview my dad. But if we schedule, which I'm doing now, it's so much easier.
Yep.
Like, I was turning up to the gym like with that rule in mind for months. And I'd still probably rock up 3 times a week and not really get too much out of it. And sometimes have 2 days in a row. Whereas if I use that in conjunction with another rule, which is just scheduled 2 weeks in advance, when is my gym time? Where does it fit around everything else?
Yep.
You turn up. Like, you dead set turn up.
Yep.
I've been to the gym 5 days this week and it doesn't feel like it because I haven't had any stress in planning.
Yeah, and that comes back to like decision fatigue and whatnot and all that. Which
I mean, that's Matt's idea as well, isn't it? He loves a bit of decision fatigue.
Yep. Trying to eliminate your fatigue on making decisions. But yeah, we'll get into that one day.
No, that's a really good idea. Actually, we'll get into that.
What have we got next after?
Back to basics.
Back to basics.
Nutrition wise and body positivity is what I've got written down here.
Yeah, I remember just when we were chatting to Kingstan before we came in.
Didn't bring it up too much on the podcast.
No, but he's talking about, as boring as it is, chicken and rice. Chicken and rice and your veggies.
He loves it.
And just being really clean with what you eat. And it's like you need
Cajun garlic. I still remember the recipe. Cajun garlic, onion powder, salt and pepper, rubbed across chicken breast, cooked on a grill, for like however long you need to cook chicken, and just make 4 meals worth.
Yeah. But his other thing was like, for working out properly, you need some form of protein, some form of fish oil for your joints, and something else he mentioned.
Yeah, fish oil wasn't. I think he said he He doesn't even take fish
Oh, he
oil.
doesn't even take fish oil anymore.
Nah, that was mine.
Oh, that was yours.
I'm a big fan of fish oil, but I don't take it.
What was he talking about? He's just like,
I think he said for basics you needed just 3 things, which was creatine, whey, and
amino acids.
No, he doesn't even take those. He doesn't even take pre-workout anymore.
Yeah, just coffee or something.
I think he said just a coffee, but I can't remember what the last one was. It was something weird, gylamine or something. I don't know.
Something that he gets in.
Guanine, something. I can't remember the supplement, which I've never taken, so I might have to look into it. But
he has just a simple, and he was talking about his training split. Very non-complex.
Super easy. So he does a push-pull legs. I think he said this on the podcast, didn't he? He does push-pull legs, but with shoulders on the legs day.
And does he do an upper and lower at the end, or does he just repeat those?
No, he repeats that through, but he doesn't do it all in a week.
Yep.
He goes to the gym, I think he said 4 to 5 times a week, mainly 4 times, I think he said when he was off the podcast.
So he just kind of cycles through that as he needs.
Yeah, and I think that's really good. I think it kind of shows as well how, like for me, I am dedicated to showing up 5 days a week. Probably don't need to. Probably could turn up 4 days a week and be happy as Larry. But it shows that it's not actually super. It doesn't take super effort.
Yep.
It's a pretty basic split. It's a pretty standard split.
And he also said he had followed a very, very similar split to when he started bodybuilding. Like still, hasn't changed his program.
Stuck to it for ages. Yeah.
I think it's easy when things slow down in terms of progress to look at like throwing in other variables and saying, oh, I'm not the reason that progress has slowed down. But like sometimes you just got to stick at it. Yeah,
no, for sure. You do hit a deadline and that might be when you need to deload. But I think as well, for me, hearing him say that was really interesting because I've always had the mentality of I like to do different splits at different times, which I probably still will because I find it exciting. Yep. But I thought I needed to. So, for example, I would change my split from sometimes I do. So, at the moment, I'm doing push-pull leg upper lower throughout the week. So, I do 5 days a week. And for me, that fits well because I want to go 5 days a week. But I used to do something like his where it was just push-pull leg, except instead of doing shoulders on the leg day, I did arms on the leg day.
Yeah, okay.
Which is just a bit different. Probably would change it to shoulders now that he said it because he said it.
Yeah.
But yeah. And so I'd just change between those two and sometimes do a full body split because full body is kind of fun. But I thought I needed to. Now I've heard him say that. It sort of reduces that stress and strain of going, oh, I need to change my split soon.
Yeah.
So that's nice. It's good to hear.
Yeah. I think it's just an example of, stick to the process.
I forgot to talk to him about deloads as well.
Yeah.
I get really excited about deloads.
We're friends now, so you can just...
I'll have to hit him up. Hit him up on Messenger. Yeah.
Is that it for our chat about Kingstan? We're just going to do a little bit of content consumption, or have we got something else to chat about?
Confidence. He's a confident lad, and it does not come across as I'm better than you confidence. No, he's one of the most personable people.
We all know that person that's confident to the point of just annoyance.
He just winked at me.
Oh yeah, that's you, buddy. You exude arrogance. That's what I think of when I think of Luke Morrison. Arrogance.
Yeah, no, we do know that person though. And he's sitting in this chair, but it's definitely an issue having overconfidence and just I think the way he examples confidence is great. Just knowing what he's good at, what he's not good at. Literally saying, I'm great at rapping. That's good. Like, let's hear it. Yeah, he was good at rapping. Like he is.
Yep.
So he's confident in his ability to rap, but he's not cocky about it. He didn't go and tell us straight away, oh, I'm really good at rapping. Do you want me to do one? He was just like, oh yeah, I like to rap. When it came up.
When I said something about the best barber I've ever been to and they were playing Kendrick's album.
Yeah, and he was like...
And you were just like, oh, do you listen to Kendrick at all? And he goes, yeah, I listen to him a bit. I also do my own rapping. Like, didn't bring it up out of nowhere.
No.
and like, oh, have a look at me.
No,
Like,
exactly.
I'm almost certain he wouldn't have.
And he didn't even
wouldn't
bring
have
it up on the
mentioned
podcast.
No, and he wouldn't have mentioned it if we hadn't asked him about it and had that question.
That's like kind of the perfect example, to be honest, because, even further than that, like looking at how he talked about his schooling abilities, he was pretty like open about the fact that he was good at school. He wasn't the best, but he was good.
And he found what worked for him.
And he found what he wanted to do, and he found what worked for him. Yep. But he admitted to his failures, and that's what a good, confident person does. I think when you look over your failures and just go, hey, I've never failed in my life. I'm never going to fail.
Yeah, you're insecure as if you're saying that.
That means you're insecure and you're arrogant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, his confidence is just great.
And I think we're getting... I don't know if it's now, but I find the people that I'm respecting more and more are just the more and more completely honest about everything people.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know, there's a point where you have to just accept that being honest about everything is just, that is the ultimate confidence.
Yeah. Not
being honest in the rude way, but, you know.
I mean, yeah, not to bring politics into the conversation, but
I'm going to.
But I'm going to, not from any standpoint at all, but just looking at the way politicians conduct themselves, regardless of what party they're coming from and who they're representing. A politician is generally quite deceitful at the moment in today's day and age, and no one can say anything like against that. Like, you'll listen to our current prime minister and our previous prime minister, and both of them will say things, and they'll move around questions diplomatically. Like, that's just deceit. It's just political deceit, and we call that diplomacy.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's also where Australians and America as well with their politics, and England with their politics, all of us, all the Western world pretty much is starting to look at politicians and just go, I don't like you, or I don't want to vote for you or any of you because you're not honest and you're not transparent. And the reality is, sadly, like, being honest and transparent about everything's probably not going to get you the job.
No.
But, and so they have to do what they've got to do. But like, my point is, that's sort of like where we're going in terms of our respect, in terms of the Western world itself. It's starting, because the Western world's growing and its fakeness and its translucency is turning into opaqueness on social media. It's just becoming, it's moving away from this whole smoke and mirrors to just this black and white effect of good life, bad life. Yeah, I think with all that happening, we're starting to respect transparency a lot more. And I'm seeing that between, like, we both respect it more.
Definitely.
And that's why we always talk about the imperfects, because they're so vulnerable. And we're still fanboys, and we'll mention it every podcast from here on in.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Honesty is very, very important. And well, one of our good friends and mentors for both of us, Adam Hale.
Haven't seen him for a long time.
Well, I saw him this morning.
Lucky you.
When he
could get him on the podcast.
Yeah, we could actually. He's an awesome person.
Yeah.
He is someone that I just respect his honesty.
Yeah.
You can ask him anything, really.
Yeah, no, he's an open
honest
book.
about it.
He's an open book, and not in the bad way.
No, and he had a upbringing and whatnot that was difficult for him. Partly, some of that is, I'm not going to go into it, but, you know, it affects the way things operate. But he is so honest about all of that, and it is infectious.
Yeah, it is.
And they're the people that you open up to. They're the people that you connect with. Other people that are completely just, you know, this is who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered by that. And if it bothers you, then, you know, that's not really my issue, and we can move past that.
I think bringing up Adam was awesome, because I just realized as well, remembering back, I think Adam would probably be one of the people I could account most of my transparency to, like most of my vulnerability to, in terms of he is probably the one who brought that out of me the most out of anyone. I had a few teachers that did as well. But he was just so excellent at just being himself in front of everyone. And like, that was so clear to me from the get-go. I remember distinctly, like, one youth night, I think we were at the pool at YMCA for like the first youth event of our time ever. I'm pretty sure.
I wasn't there, but you were.
I was there. Oh yeah, you wouldn't have been there.
Yep.
That makes sense. And Adam got up and he said, did a little sermon thing, and straight away he just touched on like so many topics of his life that I had never heard anyone touch on up until that point. And sure, I had never been to youth group. I'd probably never been in a formal, mature setting up until that point because I was coming out of, primary school. But still was so good to just have someone open up like that. And that just really encouraged me to just be like, okay, I can express my own problems now. And it's cool to express my own problems because everyone's going to understand this is who Luke is. And like, that's great. So,
True.
Yeah. So I think he was really fundamental in me developing that understanding. So thanks, Adam, if you're listening.
Should we put him on the list?
I think we'll have to stick him on the list.
We may or may not get him. Might not be his thing, but
yeah, or I can almost guarantee he'll be up for a chat, but might not be with a microphone in front of him.
I'll cut him off if he's not up for it. That's just the kind of person I am.
We are fake.
Yeah. I'm conscious of the time we've been sitting here, so should we...
Oh, we should wrap up soon.
What content have you consumed this week, my friend?
Not a terrible amount.
Okay.
A good amount though. Get it? I think I've been going through that Resilience Project book very slowly but surely. I'm up to chapter 5 now. Hugh Van Cuylenburg is just growing more and more on me in terms of his humble writing style.
Yeah.
And in terms of his knowledge without expressing it too far. He's just great.
Yep.
And his storytelling ability is awesome, which is something I've also been meaning to learn for myself, is how to tell a story.
We're getting better at it. We will get better at it.
We will have to.
by episode 100.
Storyworthy's on my list for reading.
Is that the Disney founder?
It might
wrote
be.
That?
No, maybe. I don't know, but
No, it's not Walt Disney.
It might be someone from Disney.
Is that the thing where it's like you think of the story-worthy moment from each day and write it down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be really good for me because telling a story is going to be great for law. And it's going to be good for other things as well.
Telling deceitful stories.
Harvey Specter who?
Oh, I love that show. It's so good. Cool. Resilience Project has been a win. For me this week, what content have I consumed? I have not read this week.
Bit of Netflix. Excuse the yawn there.
I consumed some Essendon Football Club, but we won't get into that. I've been on a bit of a return with Armchair Expert.
Oh, nice. Who's on this week?
They had, actually, the one that I listened to this week is their, I listened to a couple of them, they're Armchaired Anonymous, which they're doing, which is where they have people like call in and tell stories and listeners.
Oh, I need to hear this. I need to go listen to that.
That's brutal honesty. The one I'm currently listening to is like betrayal. So you call in and there's things like, one of them was like, what was it? Oh, have you ever had a craziest story on a plane? Things like that, like kind of arbitrary ones. But one today that I was listening to was like a story where you betrayed someone.
Oh,
so
man.
To get on a podcast, I don't know, that podcast reaches
millions of people.
Get on and tell a story about how you betrayed someone.
Yeah.
That's honest.
That's pretty brave.
Yeah.
Good on
the
them.
stories are good and they're entertaining, but you're also sitting there thinking like, geez.
Deep.
Well, yeah, some of them are like pretty brutal. Like one young kid had to, like his parents had split up and like he just saw some stuff with his family where ended up his mum got a restraining order against his dad, and he had to testify against his dad. He got the choice to testify, and he chose to testify against his dad, which was basically the evidence that kind of
Oh man.
got a conviction against his dad. And he was saying he just sat up there and was protecting his mum, but he sat up there, and when he gave his little recount of what happened, you know, the look in his dad's face was that one of betrayal. And like to even go back and look at that yourself and reflect on something like that is pretty brave. But even like being able to just tell that story is brave. So confidence, bravery, kind of wrapped up in some silly little stories. Not silly for the people, but
Some of them. might be.
they're for entertainment purposes and growth purposes. But
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
I will endeavour to consume more content.
I will also endeavour to do that because we haven't probably had time, both of us.
A good friend that listened to the podcast, she mentioned this week when I saw her that she started reading Atomic Habits because we mentioned it. So
Which friend?
one of my sister's friends who was came over for dinner and had dinner with us the other night.
Oh, lovely. Nice.
She's the sister of one of my best friends. She was saying that she'd been meaning to read Atomic Habits, heard us mention it, bought it, loving it.
Heck yeah. Well, that's a W. That is a big W.
If I ever get asked books, like book references or questions about books, there's two, and I think I've said this: Atomic Habits and Resilience Project. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, no, the Resilience Project's just beautiful. The way it's written, I'm loving it.
Yep.
That's a good balanced recommendation as well, because habits are the foundation of productivity, and Resilience Project's obviously going to help you with your mental health. Those are two really important areas.
I need one on physical health.
I've got one.
Yep, go.
I've got two. It's sort of like a volume 1 and 2. The muscle and strength training pyramid for nutrition and training.
That sounds scientific.
Eric Helms. Very, very, very good. It is scientific. Scientific. I just invented a word that shows how tired I'm getting.
Yep.
It is scientific. But you skip past the citations, and that probably cuts off about 100 pages.
Yeah,
I'm kidding, but
That's
it's awesome. Definitely recommend it. Could send it to you illegally, but I'm not going to, because that's illegal and that's dodgy, and the author's awesome. So go buy it, and it's great. It's a PDF online, but it's awesome. So I highly recommend that.
And with that, we'll end our conversation.
We've
touched on everything that we want to touch on. If you haven't listened to the Kingstan episode, and for some reason you're listening to this one,
you have to.
Well, I would say pause this how many ever minutes ago and don't start till you've listened to Kingstan. Arguably, if you've only got 45 minutes or an hour, don't even listen to this. Go listen to the Kingstan episode.
We're just hoping they skip to the end of this episode to find that out.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I think the one thing I've been saying to people, because a lot of people have talked to me about our podcast, and it's like a lot of them are saying, "Oh, I'll listen to an episode soon. I just haven't gotten to it," and they're always like, I'm like, oh, don't worry, I didn't ask if you've listened yet.
Don't worry.
But if they ever ask me, I'm always like, just go and listen to the Kingstan one. It is honestly, like, I think that's going to be great for anyone. Really good for anyone who's interested in improving themselves. So please do.
And I guess that's the target of this, and it's a good way to start. A great way to start.
No, for sure. So yeah, go back and listen to. Oh my goodness, we're getting there. Go back and listen to that, and we'll see you next week.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the podcast this week. We hope you've learned something valuable.
Follow along and connect with us on social media at Not Bad Better.
We'd love it if you could leave a review on Apple Podcasts, either in the app or on their website if you don't have an iPhone.
Have a great week. We'll see you next time.